Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia, and with me today we have Brandon.
Hello.
And we are here to talk about games and things.
That made me sad.
I tried.
I know. It's not the same, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
But I mean, this week is just kind of like, oh, maybe he's working.
Mm.
And I guess for those listeners, because I know listeners don't always listen to every episode in a row, or they may not make it to the end of the episode. In last episode, Nick had revealed to our listeners that he is promoting himself to listener, and he's gonna, but he will be returning as he will be returning as like a special guest. He just won't be a regular host anymore.
So, yeah, he wants to come back for the Game of the Year and E3 stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it seems like E3 heard that information and was like, "Bitch, you thought."
I know, but there's a Nintendo Direct incoming, and he did say he would come back for Metroid Prime 4 discussions. Mm-hmm. So who knows? Maybe that is on the agenda. We'll find out. Anyways, this week, new things we got to talk about. Goldeneye finally released after 40 years. I don't know, It feels like forever. Yeah. Let's talk about more Fire. I'm going to talk about Hi-Fi Rush, brand new game.
Yes.
And a surprising pile of rumors has come up since last week. So we'll delve through those. You ready to get started?
Yep.
All right. I guess what we have overlap of two of games, so we
do
together. So we'll start with Goldeneye because that's new-ish, I guess, theoretically. New to a lot of people. So it finally came out on the Switch Online and on Xbox last week. I have it on both, so I can actually, and I played a little bit of it on both, so I can comment on both versions. But it's kind of a weird one to talk about because it is GoldenEye 64, and it's great and it sucks at the same time. So,
what do you think of GoldenEye 64? Like this remake as a whole?
Is it a remake?
Okay, well, what do we call it? What do we call this?
I think it technically qualifies as a port.
Yeah, I think it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, so there are some issues, and it depends on which version you're playing on. So I think my thing is, the thing that's
we're playing two different versions. That's the interesting part.
I mean, I've played both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I played most of it on the Switch.
Okay, and I played most of it on Xbox.
So
the rest on N64.
Yeah, no, the rest on 64. You know what the thing is though that I think surprised me the most, which I was like actually kind of shocked about because I guess I really didn't know what to expect from the Xbox version.
Yeah.
But the Switch and the Xbox version are almost identical, and that was kind of disappointing.
I can't figure out which one's worse.
I mean, they both seem to run about the same. I would
say. That's the problem because graphically they do run about the same.
Yeah.
Well, no, I would not go graphically. I've seen the graphics of the Switch version because I've not played it on Switch. I've only seen people play it on Switch. I've seen the graphics of the Xbox version. And Xbox version on Xbox Series X is a totally different beast. And let me tell you, it's not a good one. That's the big
on Xbox One. So I guess I should. That is one difference. I don't know how much of a difference it makes between the two. But,
I don't think the Xbox One runs at 4K. Okay. So there's that.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't. It should not. But at least between those two versions, they look identical, I would say. The Xbox One and the Switch.
So here is the interesting thing about the Xbox Series X and Series S version of GoldenEye 64. They have the same textures as the N64 version, like the original N64 version. Yeah. But those textures are blown up to 4K. Yeah. This causes massive issues with the game. I mean, massive issues.
Really?
Yes. Some like elements, like the snow level, for instance. There's parts that are supposed to be solid that are actually like see-through. There's like seams that you can see all over the map throughout every single level of GoldenEye 64 because the textures are overlapping each other, and it makes it so it's like the term is called Z fighting, where two z-axes of like a texture coming together are like
Mhm.
fighting with each other, so they like flash in and out of existence. And when you blow up to 4K, it's a lot more noticeable, and it looks very, very, very bad.
Oh,
And then on top of all of that, it just doesn't have like the correct pacing, like at all. Like the guns feel off, the gameplay feels off. It all feels off on the Xbox Series S and X due to the fact that like it is. Like I don't know why the performance isn't as good. Like it should at least hold 30 FPS steady. And
mhm.
it does, but you know, I've talked about like frame pacing in other games before in the past where it's like it makes it so the latency between you hitting a button and that thing happening on screen is not the same.
Yeah,
And that's the same problem we have here with the Xbox version of GoldenEye 64. And because of that, it feels kind of like you're like drudging through mud while attempting to play this game. And it feels really bad. It is
you're really
not fun to play at all.
you're really upselling it.
Oh
Uh,
no, there's no upsell here. This game's awful. They did not do a good job with this. It is terrible.
well, I mean, I would say so because I mean, we just were like, what would we classify it as? I mean, I from what I had read, they looked into the code and it is a port. Like they're running an actual like emulation of this game with some new features. I will say though, the Xbox One version doesn't sound nearly as bad as how you described the Xbox Series X version. So
That makes me think that like it has something to do with the 4K like
yeah,
upscaling or 1440p depending on which system you're playing on. That has to be what's doing it because like it just doesn't feel good to play. It just
yeah.
does not feel good to play.
I mean, you do still get some stutters, but it's kind of like
Hmm.
it seems like it's the same things, like the same places as like the Switch
Hmm.
version, like more
Well, it's not
inherent
even
to the game.
it's
But
not even the stutter that's the issue. It's the fact that the gameplay feels off. You know how like something just doesn't feel right when you're like playing it or whatever, and you're like, what is
oh, I
going
know.
on here? And like that's the feeling I get. It's not like stuttering. It's not like really slowing down or anything. It's just not running at the correct speed when I input different like commands such as like firing a gun, for instance. I do think the new control scheme that's on Xbox is actually very good, but other than that, I have like nothing but disappointment for this. This is
It's
really
better.
disappointing.
It's better than the hokey game, hokey controls that they put in the Switch version, for sure. Because they didn't change anything on the Switch version. So
Oof.
yeah, which makes it very antiquated. There is a
Mm.
workaround which works well,
Hmm.
but it's annoying that you have to do it.
I see.
Because if you, so this is how I've been playing Goldeneye on the Switch.
Okay.
I go into the system menu and I
Hmm.
switch the left and the right stick. And then
Okay.
I go into Goldeneye and I switch the setting, like the control setting, to solitaire. And it plays like a normal first person shooter control wise at that point. If you do not do that, it's just weird. And the other issue
I
is
see.
even when you do that, the sticks are very sensitive.
Hmm.
So I have an N64 controller. I played this game more handheld than I have on a TV. So
You should try the N64 controller. I've
yeah,
heard good things about
so have I.
it.
I've heard it plays actually very well with the N64 controller, like
Hmm.
how it's supposed to play. And I've heard the people who play it that way have had a very good experience.
Hmm.
I just haven't tried it that way. I will say, like the way that I played it worked well. Like I
Hmm.
can playing it with two sticks like that, with an actual like proper two stick control. Like you
Hmm.
can fly through the levels because you can do stuff that like really you should not have been able to do in the N64 version.
Hmm.
So which is nice, I suppose. Like I mean, I got through. Which level did I get to? On the Switch version, I played all the way up through Jungle. Was where
I
I
see.
got to, and then I got annoyed, and then I stopped.
Okay.
Because the Jungle level is just dumb. I just got frustrated.
Mm, mm.
The what was I gonna say? Some of the levels that are in this game, totally forgot. Did not even remember them existing. I was like, what? You go back to Severnaya twice? I'm like, I don't remember this. Like the second snow level, I was like, oh, I'm sick of this. I don't remember coming back here again.
Yeah.
So that was good. But I mean, I do agree with you. It is a very dated game. They
Hmm.
really didn't do much to make it more playable in this day and age. It is a vessel for nostalgia, and
Hmm.
that's I don't anyone who is expecting like a second coming of Goldeneye, prepare to be disappointed.
You know what really sucks about this?
Hmm.
I don't know how much you know about it, but when JTagging and stuff like that with the Xbox 360 was a thing, hacking the Xbox 360, and I guess even current day, there was a leaked version of GoldenEye 64 for the Xbox 360, and it plays amazingly.
Oh yeah.
Even people went even as far recently because of how bad the new GoldenEye port is that we got, that they emulated through an Xbox 360 emulator or through their JTags if they still have the system. GoldenEye 64 leaked version that was released onto the internet, and that plays infinitely better. It has none of the issues that I mentioned. It has a correct control scheme, and it looks way better than what we got.
Because
And
that one
it
was,
is.
my understanding was that one was an actual remake.
It was a remake. Yes, it was a remake that was actually being worked on by Rare and one other person. I don't remember who the other one was, but yes,
But this one is just, sadly, it's a port. There was a
it's a
bunch of
bad port.
drama before it even came out too, because apparently they thought that the gong sound was removed from the Switch version for whatever reason.
Oh
And
yeah,
everyone was like slapping their heads and getting upset, and then it released and it was there. So
it's just a
it was just
shitty
awesome.
audio quality video that they had released on their
Yeah.
Twitter or whatever because of the compression. But no, the other thing that I have to say about this game is and this is like I guess one of the good things I would say. So I was under the impression, since the Switch version was advertised as having multiplayer and the Xbox one was not advertised as having multiplayer, and was even told to us that there is no multiplayer in Xbox, that I didn't think we were getting any kind of multiplayer. The
Oh no,
original
I thought
split
it was.
screen multiplayer still exists in the Xbox version, and that
Yeah,
I
no,
could
that's
not
what it
be
said.
happier about that.
Just the online is the only thing that's Switch
Hmm.
exclusive, which I mean, I guess that's fine.
Hmm.
But I mean, if you want to deal with the shitty ass controls on the Switch to play multiplayer online, be my guest.
Yep.
But it is great. I mean, it is a classic co-op game. I mean, I could imagine. I mean, I only have two N64 controllers for the Switch. If I
Hmm.
had, I mean, it's not like I have that many opportunities where I would need four. But if I did, I mean, that would be a great couch co-op game. Just kind of like
Hmm.
throw that on and fuck around and have a great time. It's still good for that. And the other thing they added to this too, which I think we just both almost forgot to gloss over, is they did add widescreen to it as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. Did you have you not been play? I thought it would. Does it not default to widescreen?
No, it does, but I didn't know if it would do it on the Switch. That's why I
Oh,
said interesting.
so in
Because
the
yeah.
Switch, yeah, in the Switch they added it into the menu option. So you can go and switch it to widescreen, and then
Hmm.
it's widescreen. It looks just as jank as the Xbox version,
Mm,
but it
that
is there.
sucks.
Yeah. Because it does add. It's weird. This
Hmm.
is I mean that's how I would describe it, because it does make your viewing area wider. It doesn't like stretch it or do like a fisheye effect or anything.
Hmm.
But then like the text and stuff that's on the screen is just kind of like stretched, which I don't really understand. It's like, why couldn't you just leave the text alone and make the viewing area bigger? But whatever, it is what it is. It works. It's nice. It gives you a nice viewing area. It is also weird though when you go back to your watch. It's on even on the Xbox version. I noticed it. It switches back to 3x4. So
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't spread out the watch or fill in that empty space with anything. It's just like, nope, just going back to your old ratio. There you go. All right, whatever. But I mean, realistically, for most people, this is a free game. So congratulations,
Yep.
you get yourself free Goldeneye. If you have Rare Replay digital on the Xbox, you got it.
Yep.
If you have Game Pass, you can play it that way. Or if you have Switch uh, expansion pass, you can play it that way.
True.
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything else to say about it though.
Not really. I have nothing.
Yeah. And then the other game that we played together this week is Fire Emblem Engage.
Yep. That's true.
So I guess I had talked about my initial thoughts last week, so I guess you should start with your initial thoughts.
Um, this sure is a game. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I could not care less about the story of this game so far. The story is very, at least from the first 3.5, 4 chapters I've played, somewhere in there. I think the story is super generic anime bullshit, and not like the good anime bullshit. I mean like tropey, just meh, whatever, that sort of
Oh
thing.
yeah,
And I think we kind of talked about that last time as well when you
I
were
think
talking
so.
about it.
And I think my opinion is actually even worse than last week.
That's
So,
just fantastic.
yeah.
At least the gameplay's good.
Yeah,
I
the
do like
gameplay's
the gameplay.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Gameplay's stellar. Like
Yeah,
they did a great job
absolutely.
with that. Hmm.
But I could not be bothered to give a fuck about this story at all. I thought I would, but nah.
No.
This just ain't it. I just do not care.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think from what I've played so far, this is the most generic, worst Fire Emblem story I have ever seen. There's nothing in here that remotely excites me. There's nothing in the story that drives me to want to keep playing. The reason I keep playing is the gameplay. Gameplay is good. It's got a nice hook. But I'm not like, oh no, what's gonna happen to the divine dragon today? And just like I just don't care. You're right. It's very anime trope, and
it's not even like good anime
no.
trope. You know what I mean? It's like there's some anime stuff where it's like and I'll talk about that in a little bit, where it's like you see it and you're like, okay, well that's kind of tropey, but okay, it works here and it's kind of cool. I like it. But this is just it doesn't
No,
work.
and
here.
I think I said this last week too. Like I really wish that they just made like a core Fire Emblem story. Like take some like inspiration from some of the classic Fire Emblem games. Like, oh, the kingdom's being overrun and we got to go and save the kingdom. We got, overthrown. We got to help regain the throne or whatever. That would have been fine. This one, it's just like you are the divine dragon and the bad dragon is probably coming back. We don't know. And you should try and stop him. And you also just coincidentally have these rings at your disposal that happen to have inside of them the spirits of the 12 Fire Emblem heroes over its 30-year anniversary, basically.
Yeah, that is very true.
And I was like, oh.
It very much feels like a game that would have been a mobile title. Yes. Or could have been a mobile title because of how little the story really matters. That's what I was just about to say.
The story is just
I think the game's quality is really good actually. I do like the elements where first of all, I like the gameplay a lot. The gameplay's very good, but also on top of that, the presentation's very good as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, I think some of the stuff that some of the quality of life stuff that they have in there, some of it is like improvements over like the previous game. Some of them are like new. Those kind of things I think are pretty good. Some of the minute changes they made to the battle system, like they brought back the weapons triangle, but then they also added like a break kind of thing to it. Some of the new abilities and spells and weapons and stuff that they added, I think are nice. It's nice that your weapons are not breakable in this game. So I think that just adds an interesting element to it. You can use some of the what you would consider the rarer weapons. They're now just reusable. You can keep using them over and over again. That's great. But as I said, the story stuff's kind of weird. The challenge stuff is it's a weird game from a challenge perspective too, because you do have. I was thinking about this last night because it's weird because you have casual mode where it's like if your characters die, they don't really die and they come back. Then you have classic mode where if they die, then they don't come back. But then you also have the time crystal that can save them. So it's not like you don't really run that much of a risk of losing like you would before. You can just kind of rewind time back to where you made a bad decision and fix it.
I don't know anything about a time crystal yet, so that's news to me. That's cool.
It's super early. It's while you're still in the prologue chapters.
It's probably just about to happen. From where I left off last night.
So now that I'm thinking about story-wise, from what you told me, you have it. They just haven't given it to you yet. So that.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, is it the one that was made for me? Oh, okay. Because I was like, what the fuck is the point of this thing? You know what I'm talking about? The ring that was made for me?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like, I made this ring for you. What does it do? Nothing. What the fuck are we? Dark Souls now? What the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like I don't trust that. Something's gonna happen.
I'm like, there's gotta be something with this ring. Don't know. I'm sure it probably comes back as a twist later. But even from what I've read on like Reddit, nobody seems to be like, oh my god, this is a great story. They're just kind of like,
yeah, the game's great. The game itself is great, and that's really all I have to say about it. But like, if you want to talk about like just stories that don't really matter, I mean, this one doesn't really feel like it matters. It's like I said, it does feel like the mobile game. Like they're just looking for it to be a means to an end, more so than like, an entertaining
it's
story.
a means to connect the Fire Emblem universes together. But I just think it's tragic that they just couldn't have done a better job with it. Like I feel like they could have done a much better thing. I mean, almost half of the Fire Emblems are linked to a common universe anyway. And it's theorized that maybe all of them aren't. It just hasn't been fully explored yet. But no, we did not get that. So disappointing. One other thing though I think is interesting with this one, because I guess some of the more like there's always been an issue within those Fire Emblem games. Not really an issue, I guess. It's kind of a thing that has been discussed, we'll say, with the more recent Fire Emblem games.
I see.
Where the challenge isn't necessarily there for some things. Like if you have a character that's underleveled, there are a lot of means for you to get that character properly leveled up and competitive to other characters on your team. And with this game, it's not really the case anymore, at least in its current state. It's possible that this could be changed with DLC or like additional content as the game goes on. But the way it is right now, so if you get a character in the game and you don't use them for a couple chapters, they are now underleveled and you will never be able to catch them up.
That's awful.
So it's basically like when you have someone on your team and they, get recruited, if you want to use them, keep using them. If you don't, they're done. So it's just kind of like you kind of have to stay on top of everyone with the things that are there. So
that sounds just terrible. I hate that. I hate it so much.
On the flip side, they do have they did bring back those skirmishes, so you can fight enemies and like level up your core team, but it's too difficult to level up someone who's not part of that, and just kind of you can get your core team super strong. So if you do feel like you're underleveled, just as a group, you have the ability to like bring that up. But if you're looking to level up a specific person, you don't. It's weird. So it's kind of like this. There's some challenge there, but not like unlimited challenge killing. I don't know. It's weird. I do think that's probably something that will be addressed in the DLC at some point, whatever they end up putting out. Like maybe like an arena, or maybe like some ability to upgrade people's levels in a more, maybe like with money, or maybe through like some sort of like shared XP system. But it's not there right now. Also, this game apparently does not have a new game plus at its current state. So it's also possible that maybe that will be added in later, and that will help with some of those things. So too much we don't know at this point in time, and it has only been out for 2 weeks. So, but I have been enjoying it, like I said. So,
yeah, I mean it's good. It's a good game. It's just a good game.
Yeah.
I really don't think it's gonna be like. I think this will be a template for like going forward, because I think they've done a really good job here. But I don't really think this is gonna stand the test time on its own, because there's really nothing here aside from being a good game.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm trying to think of like a way to like word it essentially.
No, I do, and it's interesting because Fire Emblem is a game I feel like, at least from its core mechanics, like the actual like strategy RPG, turn-based, grid-based aspect of it. Like I feel like they do build on that incrementally each game. And I think that it's the stuff that was not part of that is just kind of was left as an afterthought. Like they did spend a lot of time developing that with Three Houses, with the what was going on at the school and everything. I mean, I don't expect them to do that with every game, but I guess I just expect them to develop more of that in between stuff a bit more than what they do.
Yeah,
I think that school element, what they were going for there, it really did do a lot to enrich the characters in the story. Even though Three Houses' story was kind of garbage too, but not nearly in the same capacity. That was just kind of like a like a B movie story that just had some bits that didn't really make sense
I thought that was fine because of like just in general, like that's kind of how Fire Emblem feels to me with all of their
Yeah.
stories. But this one, it's not so much the fact that it's a bad story or that it's a
If
good
there's just no
story. It's
story.
just nothing.
Yeah. It's
There's just nothing to
yeah.
it.
It's like, I don't know. Three Houses is like sitting down and watching a what's a like a Stephen King book movie. And
Where he just keeps like he gets attacked by a haunted lamp. Woo!
I mean, it really was. I really remember there was that point in Three Houses where like, oh, you got sucked into this dimension that you will never be able to get out of, and nobody can escape it. And then like 10 seconds later, you're like, you escaped. I'm like, okay. Oh, okay, I guess. Did they ever explain
Well,
it?
thanks.
No.
Sure.
Nope, they didn't ever explain it. Or even those people that did that to you. Nope, don't know why they did it. Don't know what their goal was. They were just there. So, okay, cool. This one is just kind of like you go in expecting something at least to that caliber of story. Again, not a great story. Just it's a decent story. But it's like you're going in expecting that, and then you get like a Newgrounds video. I don't know. It
I don't know. I think Newgrounds videos have better stories.
I mean, really, no. So yeah, I mean that's it. Even like the character interactions, like I think that's the other thing that gets me too. Like even like their supports and everything, they're all just fluff. Like you're not weeding out any more story. You're just kind of like, oh, we're nice people and we're nice people together, and none of their like backstories or motivations I feel like really are there. Maybe it's because I'm still early in the game and the support levels I'm getting are like, the C supports, just kind of your very basic ones. Maybe somewhere deeper in there, there is more meaning, and maybe somewhere near the end of this story, it starts to get a more complex nature to it. But at least I think I'm on chapter 10 now, and I have not seen such a thing yet. And I believe there's only 26 chapters in this game.
Jesus.
So,
Okay.
So I'm not halfway yet, but I'm getting close, and I just have not seen it yet. So, and even
I'll see how it goes.
and I even saw something that was, I don't know, I guess supposed to be some sort of dramatic plot twist yesterday. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I don't even know. I think even that's kind of a stretch calling it that, because you could have seen it coming 3 million miles away, and you're like, why would a character be so dumb? But then they have just the dumbest motivations to do some of the things that they do. They're like, oh, we just do this because we're a nation of warriors. You're like, you're dumb. That's why you do this. I don't know. Dumb. So I'm sure I'll have more dumbness to report back about next week, but at least that's where I am on at this point. So I don't know if you have anything else you want to talk about with it.
No.
Well, tell me
I
what
don't.
the things you've been playing, because those things are new. And I'm
All
really
right.
excited to hear about
Yeah.
that one game. I keep on meaning to look at videos for it because it sounds like something I would like.
Hi-Fi
Yeah.
Rush. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about right now. All right, so Hi-Fi Rush was actually dropped randomly during the Xbox Developers Conference. They were talking about games and new things coming up, and they started by talking about Minecraft Legends, which looks to be kind of fun, looks interesting, and they went into Forza. Then we talked about Hi-Fi Rush. We talked about Hi-Fi Rush, and Hi-Fi Rush is a game in the vein of something like Devil May Cry or the original God of Wars and that sort of thing, where it's got a action combat system, and you defeat enemies and you get a score based on how well you do. But the difference here is there's actually a rhythm game element to it as well.
Yeah.
And the rhythm game element to it is you do your attacks to the beat of the music that's playing. And they actually work this into the story as well. Your character has a broken or damaged arm or something, and we're in the future, so he's going to this big mega corporation to have it replaced because he's able to do so due to his insurance or some shit. And he's like the kind of kid that's always like listening to his MP3 player or his music player, what have you, that sort of thing, listening to music the whole time. And they ask him to strip down, get down to his clothes and put them in the little place, where they can be sanitized while he goes and gets his arm repaired at the the surgery table, and they transport all the clothes up to the people at the top to make sure everything is on the up and up and all the information and everything is right. And the big bad guy there is like looking through all the stuff, and he sees like the MP3 player. He's like, "What's this shit?" essentially, and he like throws it. And when he throws it, it happens to fall directly down to the machine where your character is having his arm repaired surgically by robots, and the MP3 player gets put on top of you, and you're yelling at the people because everything's automated, and you're telling them, hey, stop the machine, something's going to happen, stop the machine. And you can't, because no one's listening, because it's just an evil corporation and they don't give a shit about actual people. And then boom, the thing comes down and smashes into you to repair your arm, but it also smashes into you with the MP3 player, and that gets fused into your body, and now you can feel the sound of everything around you. So now your character has the ability to notice, like, for instance, like a steam vent, and it's like going to the beat of rhythm, and like he's able to pick up rhythm and like play that into the world around him as well. And you can do that through like musical cues, and you can even press the back button on your controller, and when you do that, or select button, and when you do that, it brings up a little on-screen guide at the bottom of your screen that shows what the musical cues are right now at that point in time to help people who don't have as good of rhythm, that can't just do it to the beat themselves. And essentially what's going on with the story is you're seen as a defect because of their issue, so they're trying to destroy you, trying to get rid of you, because they don't want anyone to know that they fucked up. So all these robots come after you and everything, and it plays out like a kid's anime or a kid's Saturday morning cartoon, essentially, where you just get wrapped up in this big conglomerate's plan for this, that, and the other, being, evil because they are evil, because capitalism. And you are seen as what's wrong with the world, but you're like, no, I actually think this is pretty cool. I like that this is in me. I'm not a defect. And so you have to fight all these robots and security things that are automated that are coming after you. And yeah, it's all done to the beat of the world around you. And when you go and actually fight boss battles, the boss battles are like actual music songs. So it's not just like the beat. It's got like songs from the Black Keys. It's got songs from a whole bunch of different kinds of bands that during the boss battle, the boss music and what the boss is attacking you with and what you're attacking with is all to the beat of the music. Okay. And the better you do at like remaining on the beat while attacking and fighting them, the higher your score is. And also, if you're able to keep the beat, it's not just a high score, but you do more damage if you're able to stay on beat. So you could play this game just by button mashing your way through it and treating it like a normal game, but you don't really get rewarded for it, and it just kind of is like, whatever, And it's for people that can only do something like that. But if you can actually play this game to the beat of the music that's around you as the game wants you to, then you're actually rewarded by doing more damage when you land your attacks and that sort of deal. And there's like different things where it's like if you pause on the downbeat and do this, that, and the other, then you'll have like the ability to stop time for a second. And it just kind of works in like the things you'd see in Bayonetta or Devil May Cry or any of those sort of games all together. But instead of incorporating them as like, oh, you just press the dodge button, it's like, oh, you press the dodge button on the right beat, and that made it so you could do a triple dodge instead of a double dodge, and so on and so forth, and or a triple jump instead of a double jump, and what have you. And that's essentially what the game is. It's a very, very polished beat 'em up that works really, really well. And then it's also a incredible rhythm game. So both of those come together to work like insanely well, and it's just really fun. Like that's like one of the big major selling points I could say about this game. It's incredibly fun, to the point where if you like look at this game on Steam, people are like, "Damn, it was really bold of Microsoft to drop Game of the Year 2023 22 days into the to the year." And like it is rated overwhelmingly positive. Like no one that's played this has been like, this is a bad game. Everyone's like, yeah, this game's really fucking good.
Yeah,
and I mean it's like, yeah, it is. It's excellent. So I highly recommend checking it out. It's on Game Pass, so you can check it out that way. It plays on Steam Deck, so you can check it out that way. It's on Steam as well, so you can check it out that way. The only place you can't really check it out is on PlayStation because, people wanted Microsoft to have exclusives, so here is one.
Yeah.
This is actually a Microsoft exclusive game, believe it or not. This is from the same company, Tango Gameworks, that did Evil Dead 1 and not Evil Dead, sorry. The Evil Within 1 and 2. This is a Shinji Mikami game. My man, yes it is. This is a Shinji Mikami game.
Funny.
He made it and he literally said everyone likes to talk about how they can't play horror games or like horror games aren't for them, and like all I do is make horror games, so I decided to make this game instead. And if people find this game scary, honestly, I give up. Like, that's what he said in the interview.
Well, it's funny because while you were talking about that, I put the trailer on so I could look at it and see what it's kind of like. And while you were playing that, like it literally, the thing in the trailer
said from the creators of The Evil Within. Yes, seriously. Yeah, when I saw that in the trailer, I was like, what? And then they had an interview with him afterwards, and he was like, yeah, everyone keeps telling me I should do something other than horror games, and when I try to do that, they're still like, this is just a horror game. So I did this. And if people find this dystopia horror game, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And he literally said it like that in the interview. He's like, I don't know what to tell people if they think this is a horror game. So yeah, yeah, it's good though. It's really, really good. He definitely stepped out of his comfort zone and did something original and different for. And it's still got like a lot of character to it. It's very fun. It just feels really energetic, and all the music is like very good and plays really well alongside everything. So, yeah, it's very creative.
Yeah, it looks good.
Something totally different from what we normally get.
Also, too, I mean, the art style is incredible. I like it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it looks really good. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I haven't played it. It was a game I would play.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a try. Like if you have Game Pass, just give it a go. And if you don't have Game Pass, then maybe sign up for Game Pass and play it. I mean, I would still say buy it, but like honestly, it's not going to be for everyone, I think. But me saying that, like I haven't seen a single bad review for it. So I think this is kind of like even people that don't like rhythm games are like, this is still really fucking good. So I'm just kind of blown away by the reception that it's gotten just in general.
Apparently has a Metacritic rating of 89% right now.
Very nice.
Which is excellent.
Yeah, and this game was Shadow Drop. No one knew it existed. Yep. They were like, yeah, so we've been making this for a while now, and yeah, we've already finished it, and we're releasing it in 2 hours. Like, that's literally what they said in the, like, thing. They were like, after this conference, we will be releasing the game on Game Pass directly, and you'll also be able to purchase it on Steam and on console. And it was just like, oh, okay. And then I got it, and it was really good. And I still am playing it, so I'll have to take some more time and actually finish it. There are a few things that I really like about it. I'm a massive JoJo fan, and if you actually put on the Japanese voice acting in the game, there is a boss that actually does JoJo poses, and it has to be done on purpose because the voice actor for that boss is literally from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It has to be done on purpose.
Yeah, there's an IGN article apparently. Says Hi-Fi Rush went viral internally at Bethesda, leading to Shadow Drop. So,
nice. So, I mean, there you go. Great game. Awesome. Totally worth it. It actually made me think, like, I want more games to release like this. Because I had no expectations for this. I saw a trailer for it, and I was like, oh, damn, I'd like to play that. And then I could, literally a few hours later. And because I had no real expectations, and it was just presented to me for the first time on that day, and then I also got to play the game for the first time on that day, it made it a breath of fresh air. To not just be sitting on, oh, when's the next trailer coming out? Oh, when are we going to get the soundtrack released online? Oh, when are we going to get this announced? Oh, when is this coming out? Oh, when is blah, 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 blah. Oh, that'll probably release in 2 years. That sort of shit. The fact that I didn't have to sit through that for once felt a lot more satisfying. And I actually love that way of releasing games, to be completely honest.
And I think it's totally appropriate for certain games. And this is definitely one I think is like the pinnacle example of a game you can do that with. So,
without a doubt, yes. I totally agree.
Could you do it with other games too? I mean, yeah. I'd be like, if Nintendo would just turn around and like shadow drop, say, a new Zelda game, like of course it's going to do really well.
You know what I think would be even better?
Hmm.
Just shadow drop Advanced Wars. You've been sitting on it forever. Just shadow drop it.
I know. Well, we're going to talk about that in news. I'm sure it's coming. Um, I'm sure it's coming. But yeah, no, we'll get to that later on. But yeah, no, I mean, I do think it is a viable strategy for certain games. I mean, there are other games that probably do need the lead up. I feel like something like I guess for example, like Dead Space or Callisto Protocol, like those games, I think needed that lead up a little bit more. Something that maybe is like a bit more niche that like if you just shadow dropped it, people would ignore it unless it's phenomenal. So I mean, some games.
I mean, this is pretty fucking niche. Let's be honest here.
It is, but it's also phenomenal, and it's going to get the word of mouth. Like if you were like, I don't think like a Dead Space remake would get like word of mouth. You know, I don't know. I mean, maybe it would. I don't know. I just kind of feel like if I just turn around and be like, oh my god, Brandon, they re-released Dead Space.
Yeah, that would. I don't know. I think that would be really cool if that was shadow dropped. I gotta play that game. I want to play it so bad. I've heard nothing but good things about it. Yeah.
It's supposed to be great. It's supposed to lead in really well to Dead Space 2. I also was impressed. Like, I guess they made some very thoughtful changes.
Yeah,
improvements on the game. Too.
Isaac has a voice.
Yeah, because he did not have a voice. I don't believe
in the first game. Yep, yeah. He came in the second game and started speaking, but not the first game. So they actually, I don't know if it's the original actor, but they have someone cast as Isaac, and he actually takes off his helmet in this one too. And the voice actor is who the model of the character is modeled after as well, which is kind of neat. And then they redid some of the weapons. They made it so it's one continue. I mean, this was obvious because it's the way most games are going in this generation. But they made it so it's all once you load in, you never have to see another loading screen in the entire game. So that's really good. They did a lot of good things here, and I'm gonna try it out because in case you don't know, this isn't gonna help you, but this is for anyone else that wants to. If you subscribe to EA Play Plus on PC. I believe that's the only place you can do it. You can play the entirety of Dead Space for a month for $15. Nice. So I mean, I'm gonna finish the game in less than a month. So paying $15 to play a $60 game, I mean that's like just renting a game. So I'd be down for that. You know.
Yeah. Not bad at all.
I believe it's the deluxe edition too. So that's pretty cool.
I'm not sure, but it's still nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Sometimes the deluxe ones are just kind of like whatever. It all depends. It's like I don't know. It's like, oh, here's an extra weapon.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, and you had one more game you want to talk about?
Yes. So I actually played, and this is probably the game I spent the most time with, believe it or not. I played Power Wash Simulator. And this game is actually legitimately very fun. Like very, very fun. So let me go ahead and paint the picture for this one right now, because this probably sounds really fucking stupid, to be completely honest. So I'm gonna at least paint this picture a little bit better. So Power Wash Simulator is a game where you play as a person that is hired to like power wash different parts of the world, that sort of thing. So you might like go and power wash some person's house, and the place is just completely destroyed. When you get into the game, you have like a little meter in the top left hand corner, and it tells you how much of the place that you're at has been cleaned up. And also, if you like open up your menu, you have individual spots and areas labeled, so you can actually go and find those areas by like clicking on them, and they're like highlighted. And this game was just so relaxing that I played it for like 8 hours. Like legitimately, I played this game for a very, very long time. You're doing these little jobs and you get money for your business, and then when you get money, you can upgrade your equipment and that sort of thing. It has 6-player online co-op, because some of the messes are fucking massive, and you can have a whole bunch of other people help you take care of them. It's just really relaxing to play this game. It's very gamified, but it's gamified in a way where it's just like you turn your brain off and you just kind of start playing it, and then it's like 4 hours later and you don't realize it. And that happened to me at least twice. So yeah. This is a very, very weird one. I probably would have never played it if, again, it wasn't on Game Pass. But after playing it, it was a lot of fun to just turn my brain off and like go through and power wash different things. Like I did the first one I did, which got me hooked, was a miniature golf course where it was like old, run down, and everything, and I had to like clean it up by like getting the rust off and then like also cleaning up all the dirt and grime and stuff that was all over the golf course area. And I went through and cleaned that up like meticulously for like 4 hours until the whole place was clean. And then it was done. That was like the end of the level. And once you finish it, then you get like a little video that shows how you went about cleaning it. And there's like a little missions you can do. Like you'll have people call you up and be like, "Hey, my bike's completely fucked. Can you clean up my bike?" And you can like clean the bike for like $75 or some shit. And you can like buy new outfits and this, that, and the other. And it's really relaxing. It's really stupid and it's really fun.
Okay.
So yeah, that was another game I played. And that's honestly it. That's all I did.
All right. Ready to talk about news? Question mark.
Yeah, sure.
All right, news time. We got lots of rumors, actually. But they all kind of follow. There's bits of news in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, what does it point to? So as we kind of hinted towards, there seems to be a Nintendo Direct incoming.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, if you put on your detective hat, you probably could have figured it out. It is February. Nintendo almost on point has a Direct every February.
Yep.
So it seems very likely.
Mm-hmm.
But there are signs that it is closer to reality than, maybe we would suspect. So, because you have things like Advance Wars 1 and 2, all of a
Just
sudden...
sitting in the wings?
It's been sitting in the wings for a year. All of a sudden, it's received... it's had pre-orders open up worldwide on a bunch of different websites.
Mm-hmm.
So, not just in one country, not just in one company, just it's all over the place. So, you know what they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. Something is going on with that game, and it is very likely to be happening soon, I would think. And to your point, like, could this be a Shadow Drop game? Yeah, I could see it being a Shadow Drop game. Would not surprise me. And they're just like, yep, here it is. You've been waiting for it for a year. Like, they already got to the release date and stopped it. So it's not like it really needs much more like advertising. Just drop the shit. Just let it out today. Yep. Whatever. But that game screams to me like during Nintendo Direct, we're like, hey, Advance Wars 2 available today after the Nintendo Direct.
Yep, that's exactly what that game screams to me as well.
Yeah. So there is that. You have Tears of the Kingdom has had some I think it was like an updated thing on the eShop. I don't know if it was every region or a certain region or something. But that also hints to pre-orders opening up on that soon. Another point towards it. And then not to mention, too, we are just about to get into, I don't know, Nintendo's next couple releases for the year coming up. Kirby is coming out. And according to the box art leak, there is new content in that game, apparently.
Oh, okay.
So that might be something that they want to talk about before that game comes out. So,
yeah,
since it is on the box. So, I mean, again, another thing that's probably going to happen in Nintendo Direct, Kirby is, I think, 3 weeks into February. So,
oh, wow. Yeah.
So
they really need to talk about that then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then they probably would like to open the door a bit more for the Bayonetta spinoff, which is coming out in March. So, again,
damn, they got a lot coming out.
Yeah, they got a pretty decent first half of the year. So, I mean, at least from what it seems like. You have that Kirby re-release, you have the Bayonetta game, which presumably they're publishing. Because, it's Bayonetta and it's the Switch. So, you got that. You got Tears of the Kingdom in May. So we know those are known things so far.
That's true.
Pikmin 4 is presumably sometime this year. I keep forgetting that game is
That's like an
out.
April day, probably. That seems like an April kind of game.
Honestly, it strikes me as like one of those weird summer games.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe in the same spot that like Xenoblade 2 kind of held, where it was like, like either July or September kind of game. Not big enough for like their big holiday tentpole, but not small enough. They're just going to stick it in the middle of spring.
I see. I see.
I think that's where it is, and I also think it's post June because I think it's gonna. It seems like a game that would be likely to be teed up from their mid-year like hype up session kind of thing.
I see. Okay.
So that's that. But I mean, speaking of the mid-year hype up session, according to probably truth rumors, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo are all skipping E3 this year.
Who's gonna be there?
Nobody.
That's the thing. See, because like my friend was like, "Oh, we could still have EA and Ubisoft," and I was like, "They do their own thing also now." Like last year, I mean not last year, but like when we last had E3, neither EA nor Ubisoft did anything. So like, who do you have there? You don't. You have no one. So what? Like what do you do now? You just cancel E3 at that point.
Yeah, I think it's gonna end up getting canceled again this year. I think E3 is like officially dead. I don't think it's coming back. Pandemic killed it. They've not been able to redo it. I mean, Microsoft, I think they announced that they're doing their own summer game showcase. Sony was out of E3 before E3. They even stopped being E3. And Nintendo really just doesn't have the incentive to do it.
They just don't care.
Yeah, they just don't care. They did it just because they could, but because the Nintendo Directs are so popular, really doesn't matter if they do it or not.
They really just don't need to.
The rumor is that Nintendo just doesn't have a lot that they would bring to E3 this year.
Wasn't that like last thing? Nintendo seeming like they ain't got a lot of nothing right now.
Yeah, and but the thing is, though, you really don't know what that means for Nintendo because it doesn't necessarily mean anything. It could mean they just don't have anything that they want to show at that point. Like, maybe they were planning on unveiling their summer games later in the year. Kind of like, because I think last year, they just did like a mini or something in June, or maybe even a Partners Direct in June, and just did a second Direct in September. Like, they just kind of skipped that whole session. Maybe they don't want to announce their stuff that early, so they wouldn't have that stuff to bring. So, don't know. Don't know what it means. I don't necessarily think it means that Nintendo's are going to be out of stuff for this year. I think they'll probably still have some decent surprises. But they also do have Zelda coming out in May. I mean, it's probably going to be their biggest game of the year. So, yeah, I don't know. You got that. I mean, Pokemon's been pretty regular lately. So it's possible that we'll get some sort of Pokemon spin-off during this fall. I don't think they need to, but they could. And, like I said, I could see Pikmin going out there. And it just is, they're that weird point in life in the Switch, too, where they're more likely, I feel like, to do their experimental stuff.
Okay.
Like, this is not going to be the year where you're going to be getting, like, a new, I mean, maybe you could. I would, actually, Brandon, you're saying April. Pikmin seems like an April game. Yeah. And I just was about to say something, and I'm like, oh, this actually seems like an April game. I think they're going to shove some Mario tie-in into April. I don't know what, but April is when the Mario movie comes out. They could just be blocking out that space just for Mario, even if it's just the movie. I feel like we're not going to.
They could release a game alongside it or something.
I think they would,
or like a compilation or something.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Maybe they'll bring Mario 3D. What was it? Super Mario 3D All Stars back or something. They could do something like that if they really wanted to. Yeah. I could also see them doing like a 2D Mario game that probably could have been waiting in the wings pretty quickly. Stick that in there. And there was that advertising that had come out recently, some email advert they sent out asking about Mario Odyssey again, suspiciously. So we don't know what they've been working on post Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey's what, a 4 or 5 year old game at this point?
It's one of the best games that's ever released on Switch. Still. Yeah. To this day.
It's a really good game. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they had something else ready to go. It's been long enough. So yeah.
I was gonna say I just had some news that I saw whenever you're done with this one. So Final Fantasy Theatrhythm. It was announced last year, you may remember. Yeah. The final bar line, I think is what they're calling it. They announced yesterday that Final Fantasy Theatrhythm will have a 30-song demo released on February 1st. So by the time you hear this, it will
great.
already be out. But the 30-song demo will include Final Fantasy 2, 5, 7, 13, 14, and 15. Different songs from each one of those games. And all of the demo will carry over to the full game. So there's that.
That's so awesome. Yeah.
And they also announced that the full game, and this is the reason why we get 30-song demo, the full game will have 385 tracks.
How many? 385?
385 tracks.
Okay, that's a lot.
So the demo has 30. The DLC will have 27. And then there will be more DLC packs, adding even more that will be from other games such as Nier Automata, Octopath Traveler, Live Alive, Mana, Saga, and many other games in the Square Enix umbrella.
That's pretty good.
So we're probably going to have like a over 400 or 500 track game by the end of this.
Mm-hmm.
But we get 30 of them for free. So you get to try out the demo on February 1st, starting at midnight.
Yeah, awesome.
And I will definitely be trying that because I actually really like this game. I played the original one on DS. It's so fun. And I also am a big Final Fantasy fan, specifically of the music. I think the music is wonderful in the Final Fantasy series. Even if one of the games isn't good, like for instance, Final Fantasy 13 is not, in my opinion, a good game. The music is really good in that game. And then there's several people that don't like the MMO. The Final Fantasy 14 is an MMO, but the music is so good in that game that it kind of transcends just being an MMO. So there you go.
Yeah, totally reasonable. Makes sense.
Yep. So that's something to look forward to. I'm looking forward to it. I'm installing it first thing tonight.
It might even be out soon, depending. Well, I guess it depends.
I'm looking at their webpage right now because they put up an announcement again, and that's what reminded me of it. And their page says, "When does our demo go live?" And it says February 1st, 2023, 0000 for EST.
Oh, 0000 EST.
Yeah, so that's midnight. So
because a lot of things have been going up at like midnight. What is it?
It's different times for each one of them. PST is January 31st, 21. O'clock. Yeah. They're doing midnight for each
for Eastern time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of games lately, or like, I guess it depends on who does the updates or whatever. Mm-hmm. But like even with Goldeneye, like they did it with like a GMT or whatever. So like kind of like how Splatoon updates at 7 p.m. Like that's when Goldeneye went live. Like the same time. This is weird. I don't know why that started becoming a thing, but it's okay.
Yeah, no. GMT is a different time on here. GMT is also 0000 for GMT. So, yes, it's just different times for each one of them because every single one of them have a time clock.
Not too bad. All right, moving on. PlayStation VR pre-order is not strong, apparently.
Gee, I fucking wonder why.
I know. Apparently, Sony's been slashing production. Not surprised.
Right, listen, here is the biggest issue with this VR headset. Mm-hmm. There's actually two of them. I'm so sorry for cutting you off, but there's two really big issues, and I just have to say this. Okay. One of them is there's no backwards compatibility. They expect you to rebuy the games from PlayStation 4 unless the actual company decides to give you a free version. But they are separate versions. So you may be stuck having to rebuy the same games that you've already purchased on PS1 VR. And that's absolutely ridiculous, especially when you're already paying more money than the cost of a PlayStation 5 for the system.
Which is, in my opinion, the bigger issue.
That is the bigger issue.
Yeah, no.
Because that means in order to get into this VR headset, you are out at least $1,000.
Yeah. If you're starting from scratch. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I just don't think that is feasible. And when you look at prices like that, you could buy like an actual, like incredibly good VR headset at a lower price than that. You could buy a straight up, just normal $1,000, really really good VR headset from like Valve, for instance, or from what's the other one? I can't remember the other one, but it doesn't matter. You can buy a better headset with more like usability.
Yeah.
For less.
Yeah. I think we talked about it too. Even like maybe you could consider it viable if this worked with PC too.
Yeah, and it does not. They've already announced that. So, granted, if it's anything like the original PSVR, people will just hack it and make it work with PC. But I mean, then you got to jump through plenty of hoops. But if this was like announced and they were like, yeah, this works with PC also, then it's like, okay, at a $500 price point, if this worked with PC, this is a much better price point, or $550 price point. This is a much better price point for something of this quality if it worked with PC. And I think that would have been the best way for them to sell this.
Yeah.
I think this is going to flop. I think this is going to be less than $400 or maybe even like $350 by the end of the year.
If they're cutting production before it even launches, it's flopped. Like,
oh yeah,
there's no way that is their metrics are already telling them it's flopped. Like, they've just already committed to it, so they got to do it, and they're just trying to cut their losses by not making too many. So yeah, it sucks. I don't know what they were thinking, and it obviously was not. Yeah, sure, maybe it'll be a very high quality, nice VR experience, but you're not reading your market.
Yep.
So yeah, just it's too bad because I mean, honestly, it just hurts the industry as a whole. Like, it's not.
It sure does.
Yeah. Anyways, last story I have. Amazon may have bought some rights to Tomb Raider.
We don't know which ones yet.
Yeah, not sure. Weren't they publishing like the next Tomb Raider game? Wasn't that a story that was recent?
I think so. Yeah.
Tomb Raider. Let's see what the news says. Yeah. So Amazon announced that they're going to publish the next Tomb Raider game. So there is that. Oh, and I guess there was even a report yesterday, I think, that Amazon is bankrolling a new Tomb Raider film and TV show. So
interesting.
So it is possible that they may have just done the TV show rights. We're not sure. The news story that came out, and it hasn't been like widely verified yet, so nobody's really sure. Says that Amazon has paid $600 million for the rights to Tomb Raider, but there's too many question marks on this news story. It's not verified for Amazon, so we don't know what Amazon actually did. But we also don't know what currency is, if it's dollars, or a foreign currency. So it might not be 600 million, and they don't specify exactly what it is. It could be rights to the entire franchise. It could be just movie rights, or something else. Maybe even something more limited than that. We don't know. But it just does seem like the Amazon is continuing its push into Tomb Raider, which makes sense if they're publishing a game. Because for them, they can build some synergy with a TV show and a movie or whatever with it as well. So yeah, I mean, I can totally see that. Hopefully they treat the series with respect, and that's literally the least I can ask for from any, not just Amazon, anyone that does something like this. So we're not going to get The Last of Us on the HBO every time someone decides to tap into video games. So I did finally watch the first episode of Last of Us.
Oh yeah, what did you think?
I thought it was pretty good.
Nice.
I was very impressed with it. Yeah, it was nice because it's like it tiptoed along with the game story enough that I kind of had an idea where it was going, but I didn't always know where it was going, and I appreciated that.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I think that is what made it like good, like for both people that have and have not played the game, because it actually added to the environment and it added to the actual source material instead of taking away from it like so many other adaptations.
Yeah, and not being so wildly far away from the like source that you're just like, what are they thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I think it's, at least so far, seems to be very well done. I enjoy like the casting choices they made. I've enjoyed the stories so far.
Joel is so good, and so is Ellie. I like both of them so much.
Yeah, and just kind of like the direction they tried to, decide to take like the what are they, clickers? Is that what it is in this game? Yeah. I think that works really well, and just kind of like the whole quarantine like aesthetic they've been going for. It works really nice. I said it just I liked it. DJ liked it, and about 3/4 of the way through it, I had to tell him it was based on a video game, and he seemed kind of surprised.
That's awesome.
Because I made some comment, and he's like, "Well, how do you know?" I'm like, "Well, that's how it was in the game." He's like, "This is based on a game." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." So yeah, there you are.
That's how it went in the game. Wait, what? Uh-huh.
I know. I don't remember what it was. I think it was with the girl at the beginning. I was like, "Oh, I bet this is gonna happen." Something like that. I don't know. Yeah, that. No, it was really good. So I'm excited to see where it's going. And they did actually, since we did talk about it last week. Since last week, they did officially pick it up as a
For
second
season
season.
2. Yeah, they
Yeah,
did. They actually announced that yesterday.
yeah. So there's that now. See me, I'm a prognosticator. So that's yeah.
There
I
you go.
knew what was going to happen.
I actually have to ask, since he was watching it with you, did he think they were going to kill Joel's original daughter?
No,
Okay. Yeah.
nope, not at all. I was like, oh no, I'm like, this girl's totally meant to die. I
Hmm.
mean, just look at her. Just look at the way they're characterizing her. He's like, no, but I really like her. I don't want her to die.
It's like too
So
bad. That's what happens.
yeah. But I mean, I think that's another thing that really speaks to what they were doing with Escape, because obviously, like, people who didn't necessarily play the game
Mhm.
got the same kind of like emotional investment that they wanted you to have when you were playing the game too. So I think that's good. Like, they got to the same conclusion, because if you hated that girl, like,
Mhm.
because that's the issue. It's kind of like the dominoes, like,
Yeah.
if you hated that girl, then you're not going to care if she dies, and if you don't care if she dies, then your investment in a Joel is diminished. If your investment in a Joel is diminished, then you don't care about Ellie. And it's just kind of like, it's a house of cards that, with one mistake, it could just kind of like, it breaks the integrity of a lot of aspects of the story in the show. And they didn't decide to take shortcuts in it. It looks like it paid off really well. So,
Yeah, I agree.
mhm.
I gotta
Yeah.
watch the other 2 episodes that are out now because I just have not been able to yet.
Well, I don't know if the other episodes are long too, but I think the first episode is like an hour
It's
and a
it's
half
90
long.
minutes. It's 90
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah.
And
That
I'm
first
like,
episode was incredibly long. But
yeah,
like, I mean, it didn't feel like it, to be completely honest. I think
no.
it was
Mhm.
well paced enough that it did not feel like it was the length of a fucking movie for the first episode.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was good. And I do forget too, HBO is not like tied to the TV length constraints like a lot of
Hmm.
other things are. So, you know, just like Game of Thrones, like maybe an episode will be 90 minutes and the next one will be like 45. Just deal with it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
So
that's it. That's all I got for now.
that's all I got too. You ready to wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to us tonight. Don't forget you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. We also have a website, game-crunch.com, where all of our old episodes are. And if you want to reach out to us, we're on Facebook, Twitter, or you can send us email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon,
Hello.
any final thoughts?
Nope, not really. I will be probably streaming more often. Not this Saturday because I might be going to a show. I'm not sure. Um,
Like a movie or like something else?
wrestling show here in
Oh,
town. It's like down the street from me. So
well,
one of the shows I actually watch is going to be here on Saturday. So there's that. But
yeah,
I'm
that's
not
pretty
sure.
nice. Hmm.
I'm gonna see if we can get tickets or not. That's what it's gonna depend on.
Yeah.
Because like it comes out to our town Saturday, and the earliest we'd be able to get tickets is Friday. So yeah, depending on if there's any seats left, that's if we're gonna go. But it is WWE actually. WWE is actually gonna be like 10 minutes down the street from my house,
Oh,
essentially,
thanks. Hmm.
which is interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah, so there's that. So I might do that this Saturday. But if that doesn't go through, then I will probably be streaming this Saturday. So tune in to twitch.tv Kagado Asuka. I don't even fucking remember what my twitch.tv is anymore. Like, let me fucking check.
I'm 90% sure that's right.
I think so. I didn't know if I had a number in or nothing. Oh no, I don't have a number. So yeah, tune in there and see what I'm doing this Saturday. And if I'm not doing anything, then I went to the show. So there you go.
Yeah.
But I will also be streaming around my birthday, so I think that's on the 18th. I gotta
You
check.
think your birthday's on the 18th? You're not sure?
No, my birthday isn't. But I'll be streaming the weekend, like before
Oh,
my birthday.
the 18th is a Saturday, I believe.
No, that's Sunday, so it'd be the.
Same thing.
No, wait, no, it's not. I'm dumb. It is indeed a Saturday. So yeah, the 18th, because my birthday is on Wednesday. So,
Okay.
yep, there you
Wait,
go.
your birthday is the week after that, though.
Yes,
right?
yes, and like a few days after that. Yes.
Okay.
My birthday's on the 22nd.
My dad's birthday's on the 15th, and I was like, I know Brandon does not have the same birthday as my dad.
No.
I'm like, I would have remembered that.
Since it's a Saturday and Wednesday is my birthday, I would be doing it not after my birthday, but before.
Yeah, I think it's a more appropriate time. Okay. What was I going to say? Oh,
I don't know.
What I was gonna say. My name's Mike Anastasia. You can find me online or your favorite gaming console in Clash of Penguin. And until next week, game on.
Game on.
I was going to tell you, so speaking of going out, when I was asking about a show, because I didn't tell you guys the story either last week. But so DJ and I went to the theaters for the first time since the pandemic.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
And it was horrific.
What'd you go see?
So the reason we decided to go is because, I like Clue. And they were doing like a special, like there's this like indie theater in the city and they play like
old movies and that sort of thing?
movies, but like on the off season they'll do things like they'll play like Clue, like they have like Heathers next month and things like that. They just will play like kind of like cult classic movies or whatever.
Yeah, my friend has a drive-in theater that he goes to. That like actually, have you ever heard of oh goodness, what is his name? He does all the like he's on Shudder now. Hold on a second. Joe Bob on Shudder, the guy who does like all the
oh yeah.
Yeah. So the drive-in that my friend goes to, Joe Bob is there all the time. And that drive-in does like horror movies and other kind of movies on the drive-in theater during like off season and whatnot. And they do kind of the same thing you were talking about just now.
Yeah. So it's kind of nice.
You went to go see Clue.
So we had to go see
and it was
Clue.
awful.
It was awful. So I don't know if it's there's a couple different things that could have contributed to this. So, because how do I put that? The people that sat next to us were like top tier annoying. Like, imagine the worst people to watch a movie with, and it was that. Basically, like, so when I say the worst people to watch a movie with, it's people who have seen the movie that you were watching before you,
and they're repeating all the lines as it's happening.
Repeating all the lines, laughing before things happen, which drives me insane.
That's awful.
And then and they were clapping too. And then it's like, and then they were laughing at things that weren't even jokes.
They're becoming seals.
I was like, are these people? I'm like, are they from another? Well, first I was like, maybe they've never seen it before, and this is the first movie they've ever seen with humor in it. And maybe that's why they're laughing. But then they started talking, like you said, they started talking through things beforehand, and then they were like reenacting some things as they were happening, and I'm like, no, they've definitely seen this before.
I have a theory. I think they were just really high.
I don't think so. They were very annoying. Like the one kid came in, so not to stereotype, but he came in with an anime stuffed animal to sit with at the movie.
Okay.
And then
I know these type. These type are these are what people think anime fans actually are. These are not anime fans. These are scary people that even fans of anime do not like. So I know who you dealt with. We once saw, I think it was me and Katie. We went to go see. Yeah, it was definitely me and Katie went to go see the Dragon Ball Z movie in theaters, right? And there was definitely this person who like did not believe that Katie watched anime, because the fucking old adage of girls don't like this thing. It's not, that old bullshit. And like it was definitely like he is testing her, and then we're just sitting there like, bruh, for real? And then like he just would not leave us alone, and it was really fucking obnoxious. And I've like dealt with those people before, and they're fucking the worst. Katie, you know what I'm talking about? You remember? Yeah, she did. She schooled his ass. She straight up schooled his ass. You remember that guy? Yeah, he was testing you. Yeah, you just fucking wrecked him. Yeah, those guys are fucking obnoxious, and that's probably who you actually dealt with. Now that I
Well,
think
and then
about
even like the little things too, like so
it.
DJ and I sat on the end of this row, but
Hmm.
there was two empty seats,
Hmm.
and then there was like another group of people that went the rest of the row.
Okay.
So this guy comes in by himself at this point,
Hmm.
and the theater's fairly empty.
Hmm.
So it's like you could pick almost any row and have some empty seats to get. But no, they want to squeeze into like the two. Well, he want to squeeze into one of the seats like in between the two groups.
Okay.
And then the other girl came afterwards, so obviously he was looking for two seats. But it's like okay, that's really annoying. I like whatever.
Hmm.
And then the girl comes in, and then she comes up behind us where like DJ and I are sitting, and then she kind of like throws all her stuff over the seat from the back, and then
Hmm.
she's gonna like hop over the seat from the back to like get in there. I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? It's like, I'm like, it is really annoying that you want to have us get up, but like, just act like a normal person and just like ask us. I don't know. They were just like, I was like so beyond annoyed. Like by the time the credits rolled, like as soon as like the first note of shake, rattle, and roll came out, and I'm like, DJ, we gotta go now. I'm like, I cannot stand in the theater one more second. We have to go. So, yeah, no, that's exactly. And I didn't want to contemplate like having to listen to them talk about anything. I just had to get out of it. It was bad. And listen, and it also is weird too because for me, like I've seen Clue like a ton of times,
Hmm.
so I don't know. I guess like the humor's just kind of lost on me now. Like
Hmm.
I mean, I know it's funny, and I think the movie is a funny movie, but like I don't actively laugh at it anymore
Hmm.
because I've already seen it so many times. So
Hmm.
having to sit in a room full of people laughing at some things that you're like, oh okay, whatever. Just like also is just like draining. I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes any sense.
No, that does. It makes sense.
Mhm. So I was like whatever. So I don't know that could have just DJ and I just both realized just between those people. Well, actually, mostly those people. Um, they were just like, honestly, we just kind of like watching movies at home better. It's nicer.
Yeah, I mean, I like. Okay, so there's some times where people have done things that are definitely disruptive, but I think have actually added to the movie.
Yeah.
But that what you're describing is just like awful and annoying. Like for instance, I went and saw the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie in
Hmm.
theaters when it released, like the first week, and someone came in there, and like they were just there to do like a choreographed reenactment of the fucking headbanging metal scene that happens at the very beginning. That even looks like it's supposed to be an advertisement for the movie theater you're going to, that is like done by I wish I could remember. I think it was Trivium that did it. But anyway, that band did like it's a groovy time for a movie time, so grab your snacks and don't that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That thing. But like halfway through it, it like stops, and then there's like all these other food products there, and they're just like looking, and they've got like track marks on their arms and everything, and they've got like a electric guitar and like a and like drums kit set up and everything, and the other ones are like, what the fuck is going on? And they headbutt them, and immediately goes into this huge, hard rocking, really loud, like heavy metal song. That's like immediately what happens, and it's like really good. And I remember like one of the best moments in a theater that I've ever had was these four people got up and had like choreographed perfectly doing the exact same headbanging movements with guitars and everything as those characters were doing on the screen, and they were in front of the screen. You know how like the seats are elevated, but you can like see down there where like the bottom seats are and everything, and like
Yeah.
the screen's also elevated, so they weren't blocking the screen, but they like did an actual like reenactment perfectly of that scene, shot for shot, with air guitar and drums and everything, and it was really fucking cool. And then they got escorted out, and everyone was cheering them though. As they were being escorted out. It really sucked that they got taken out, but it was so cool when that happened.
Yeah. I mean, those kind of things memorable. That's fun.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I know. Or I also kind of miss the old days of like movies where you're like, you catch it at the right time, and it's like, I don't know, maybe just a couple people. but
Mm.
it was just, you kind of like almost the only people in there, you know. But I don't know. Like I said, movies are so expensive, and it's just not that. I just much rather watch them at home. And most of the things you can watch within like a couple weeks. Yeah, so I don't know. Like we did Violent Night at home. We got that, and it's I think what did we pay? It's like $20. But you figure you go to the movie theaters, you're gonna spend more than $20. So I think for us for Clue, like I think it ended up costing us $30. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's it. That was my vent.
Yeah, that sucks.